Stop trying to be perfect with your trades. You're always going to take a loss when you think it looked like the best setup ever, and you're going to see a terrible trade win without you. It's not always going to make sense. You just have to take a quality setup time and time again and trust to play the probabilities out over the long term. Now let's go over today's New York Open, and you'll see one early lesson is not jumping in too soon on the day. If you've seen my ASFX TV streams where I'm live every morning, we're probably going to let the first 15 minutes shake out. That's going to give us this 15-minute opening range. And a lot of the info is going to be painted in that we might have been bearish heading into today. You can see the pre-market was kind of like these lower highs defending this black daily view up. So I have somewhat of a short bias, but the open comes in bullish. Even if I chase the bullish momentum when it does pop for the first 3 minutes, it wasn't sustained. So the first thing is, if you try to play the shorts into the open, well, you might get smoked. Where was your stop loss? Okay, if you play the longs into the open or you chase them at the open, very short-lived, it turns right back around. There's just not a whole lot to be done in the early going. You see the first sign of sellers stepping back in is this break below New York, and it's right at 943, so the open range is still setting. We're sitting on our hands saying, wow, at 945, it's right back where we started. So a whole lot of nothing. So let's give it another 15 minutes. Then comes in the first break of our opening range low. Okay, sellers are in control. It looks like we're back below both VWAPs. We're probably going to be looking for shorts today. Also kind of makes sense because like we said earlier, it's been lower highs. So sellers could definitely want to be trying to keep that control. But let's wait for a pullback. I want price close to V up. Now, one good lesson, a couple people on stream were taking shorts, kind of like a momentum play. If you put a low of day view up on here, and you're going to short it on the break below that, you could try to do that, find some momentum, but just don't love the stop loss right below VWAP. And the entry itself isn't off of a key level. I want to see the full pullback to New York VWAP. We get it. Beautiful. Buyers can't take control. We reject the black daily VWAP and the blue New York. So if we just also rewind this here, because you can see our new indicator that's out now, at the time of entry, what would it have looked like? If a pullback to New York VWAP, opening range low as well here, could this be our lower high or potential lower high? Well, it says across all three indices, it's strong bearish trend. Sellers are in control. We're below every VWAP. Every indice of ES, NQ, NYM all have sellers fully in control. Why would I not think this can go lower? And this is the price that I want at VWAP rather than chasing it away from VWAP, right? So the distinction there is just getting price close to the retest level. You put a stop loss about the value very low, and you just try to straight it back down to previous structure, right? Where last thing on this setup, if you're taking it close to low of day, you kind of need a breakout. Not that breakouts don't happen. I don't want to need a breakout. I want to trade back to where we've already been, right? We've pulled back. Now let's just go back to this low. Simple as that. So you're trading it low, and you can see sellers are clearly in control. So as it makes a new low there, you're probably out. It's a nice clean move for a new low a day. At least trail some out, piece yourself out of the trade, whatever. Just realize some gains, please. So let's get rid of this and see what wants to happen next, because then we get another retest to the very same VWAP. Sellers have been in control, still making these lower highs. If this forms another lower high here and trades back down to the low, would I have wanted to have been short? Yeah, probably. Everything is pointing towards short. You can see sellers are still fully in control across the board down here on the dashboard. I'm going to have to try the short here. So you try the short again with sellers still fully in control. Trade it back down to previous structure, that low of day. And then you quickly see, well, sellers are not in control. So if your stop loss is a little bit wider, let's just for this sake, let's say it's a little bit higher up here, right? That same valuary low to give you room to play with that overnight VWAP. You now have ES and NQ taking all of its VWAPs. You can see previous day's New York, it's today's overnight, and today's New York. This could be definitely an area you want to piece yourself out of the trade, saying this does not look good anymore. We're not holding VWAPs across the board. The context of trend is now kind of looking bullish. You could probably maybe piece yourself out of it. Or worst case scenario, whatever, you got stopped out. But at the time of entry, sellers were in control. So now, without having to flip around everywhere, I mean, you can clearly see it's not your average price action. We're kind of just forming this W to move back higher. But now you look at the bottom, it's fully buyers in control. I don't need to know if YM is going to want to come back down. Is NQ looking as bearish as this? Is ES going to break its high of day VWAP? Simple. We're on the right side of trend now. Buyers are fully in control. And what did we say about this earlier short? You want to be short at the VWAP. Your first early sign, I don't think anyone did it, is the break below New York VWAP there, because that's where you want price. You short it at that VWAP, you make some money. Short it at the VWAP again, you don't make money. All right, so 2 wins, 1 loss, trading the slice with a break below New York VWAP. But now we're above it. So could we long it? on its drift up here, small little higher low here. Could this break for a new high? Right, you could chase that. It's not off a level. It's not the worst setup in the world, but we know our best prices come off of VWAP. So if I have the patience to sit through it and wait for that setup, I could hopefully get it in a reasonable amount of time. Today, super slow. Right, doesn't happen. If it breaks above New York VWAP here at 11, you gotta wait till 12:45 to get your retest. It was very, very choppy. But now you have buyers defending its VWAPs. You can now get a stop loss below the opening range low to really invalidate if sellers can actually try to take control down here. You wouldn't want to be long. But now we're at the VWAPs, the same levels we're trying to play at. Right? If you're going to short it from this VWAP, you're just going to long it from the VWAP 2 hours later because now buyers are in control across the board. And you got to give it time. It goes into drawdown. If you go back a little bit there, it goes into drawdown. Do you bail on this trade? You could, but we're not outside the open range low yet. It does look like sellers are fully in control, but until structure is broken, aka outside this open range low and breaking this higher low back here, there is a chance it could hold. It comes back into play. Maybe you add back in, whatever. Very slow today. Give it time, but if you get price close to VWAP, right, let's clear this off. If you're close to VWAP, you can maybe even potentially scalp this little move. That small piece of it. Just like back here on stream, if you get close to VWAP, you could scalp this. Now, if you're not close to the lines and selling it at VWAP, you didn't decide to jump in until there, not a terrible trade, but then did you close it in that small of a move? You run the risk of that not being enough for you. You don't close it, it comes back for break even, or at worst, a loss. So just by getting close to VWAP, you extend the probability of it winning, but also the likelihood that you don't mess up because you'll probably go closer into profit almost immediately, right? So I think this is going to be a good lesson on just getting price close to VWAP. Being perfect is not an option. You're going to be wrong. It was telling me all sellers are in control, right? I need to be shorting here off this VWAP because if this moves lower without me and I'm not in it, I'm going to be pissed. I'm going to have wanted to been in that. And if it loses and I am in it, all right, so be it. Because I would have wanted to be in it if it did win, right? And there's certainly setups where you feel no way about it. If it wins without you, okay, great. If I'm in it and it loses, I'll be pretty pissed though. If I chase along up here and I lose that, I'm not going to really have an excuse. I could go without taking that trade, right? Because I know there's better out there. So if I lose that one's going to probably annoy me. So hopefully you guys made money today. Make sure you check out the streams, trade with us all morning long. It kind of reminded me of this day of pullback to New York VWAP and the overnight VWAP. Also outside this opening range low level, that's where the money is. Trade back down to the low of day. So the reason I shorted it today is because sellers were clearly in and then they disappear. So you read and react on the fly. You're not always going to be right. The trend's not always going to continue the way you want. That's why you could pivot and not use all your risk on your first trade. I mean, you can see here, I had a pretty good stop loss on my short here, well above VWAP, saying, okay, buyers are really going to have to take control. At the time I'm getting stopped out here, you can see buyers are clearly in. Get me out. If buyers are in, I don't want to be short anymore. Now I can start looking for long trades. I don't need to be wasting my time with the short. So hopefully you guys made money with it. Make sure to join us on ASFX TV. The link is down below. You'll be seeing me trade this VWAP dashboard every single morning on stream. Everything I explain on it down here as well. So make sure you check that out. If you have any other questions, you'll get a tutorial video of how to use it once you do get it. So any confusion there. But also, like I said, once you guys are on stream, you'll see how we're using it. You could add session volume profile levels, all these different key levels. Not going to bore you with that right now, but just clean trades, following with the VWAP, following with the sentiment in the context of the entire market. So hopefully you guys will be on stream. I appreciate you. Make sure you also check out the top one sale. They extended it a little bit differently, so make sure you just use code Evan to match the best deal that they're running. I'll see you guys on stream tomorrow morning.